Should we go with some choke? Nah, it'll be fine. Now we are in the home stretch, fellas. The valves have been reinstalled, leak tested. Everything is looking so good. Honda calls for this smaller pitch of spring to be facing towards the seat. So just so y'all are aware. But yes, dude, home stretch. Let's get this head put on here and we can go ahead and cinch this down. We're getting there. We can still kind of hold this the way that it is, but what I am going to do is just go ahead and put the cam gear in now. Leave it, you know, a tooth long or something like that. That'll be okay. I know it looks funky right now, but we'll get this through here and then we can just go ahead and snip this and settle everything out. Double checking that we've got everything in place. We've got our gasket. Yep, nothing's like stuck under the cylinder. Nothing like that. The tensioner is located properly. Yep, that's it. Let's drop this thing down. This will be easy peasy. But I gotta look where I'm going. There I'm going. That's on there. Everything's looking good. Let's drop this head onto the dowels. Coming back together. That's super exciting. Awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and pull our stator cover back off. Stator cover, rotor cover, generator cover. Is it an alternator? Because while I'm here, now is probably going to be the easiest time to rotate this cam gear. We have a mark on our cam gear that, you know, we know that given a mark on the rotor, that should line up with a mark on the cam gear. But the mark is in reference to being parallel to the cam case, but this is parallel to the cam case as well. So I think we can get really close within a tooth or so. Go ahead and pull that out and then just lay that back over. That'll hold that there nicely. Okay, let me grab a 14. Hey. Let me grab a bigger 14. 14. Cinch this down just a little bit. Way past its torque value. But with that down, now I can rotate via this rotor bolt. I do want to be careful here though, because this is how I got in trouble last time. But let's jump this around by a few teeth. If we can get this within a tooth, which I think we can, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do that. We'll just be set up a little bit better once we get the cam case on here. Yeah, that's really close. That's really, really close. Ooh. Let's see if I can show you this. Focus. So we've got this little LT mark here that needs to be lined up with this mark. We're off by a little bit because that's right where the magnet falls. So if I actually go and just scooch this back to the mark, it will fall forward just a little bit. But that's okay. That's not that much rotation. We're close enough to go, hey, The mark up here on the top of our cam gear needs to be parallel with what will be the cam case eventually, but we're using this little ridge right here because it's also parallel with what will be the cam case. And yeah, just trying to get those things kind of close. So LT-ish and then parallel-ish, close enough. I think we're within a tooth, so that'll work. Snug? Snug. Okay. We'll torque those down once we've got all this torqued down. No point in doing it right now because they're just going to get loose again, I would imagine. Dog? You don't need anything, man. No, I don't believe you. We do need to put our dowels up here, though. These dowels go in the back. In the back. Oh yeah, okay, that'll be fine. Hey, perfect. That's there. Those are gasketing. We're down on the dowels. Oh man, she's looking like an engine. I don't really care so much about how this looks. I'm not super interested in making sure all this is polished and meh. I had like a ton of dirt dauber nests though, just buried in the cooling fins on this thing. So having those all blown out, I mean, I can see through this engine at this point, all the little air passages and stuff. So again, man, shout out to my pop. He knocked it out of the park getting these things cleaned up. That's awesome. I tried blasting these in my little blast cabinet with my tiny little air compressor, and well, let me tell you, I spent about 2 hours on that guy, and you really couldn't tell. Let's drop this bolt down into the case. Oh, there we are. Okay. I was like, dude, are we off by a tooth or something? Because certainly doesn't feel right. The problem I'm running into is if the cam chain falls off of the cam gear that's on the crankshaft, when you go and pull it back up, that chain's got some sag in it, and it's almost like down at the bottom of the crankshaft we have one roller that's just kind of hanging free, while like we've basically lost a tooth in or lost a link in length. And then when you kind of wiggle it a little bit and start moving it, it'll pull around the crankshaft cam gear one way or the other, and then your timing is off. So I'm trying to maintain tension so we don't sag at all down there on the crankshaft side of cam stuff. There's some guru out there that does this all the time. That's like, hey man, everything you've done so far has been wrong. And, well, I agree. Gotta be right. Bring it back to our timing mark. Yeah, that's perfectly lined up. Yeah, that's right where we want to be. Yeah, we look like we're basically in the center, which means that our cheeks will house this all really nicely. Really, really nicely. Okay. Cheeks. Which side should we do first? Does it matter? Those look so nice. Look at those guys, dude. That's crazy. Sweet. I got really excited about putting the cheeks on and just holding the cam in place, but I forgot. I kind of need to put my rockers back in place first. You know, one of those often overlooked things in an engine, right? The rockers. People forget to put those in, and it still does just fine, right? Go ahead and get this on the lobes, just so we're not wiping dry stuff all over the place. Be nice. You may have noticed throughout this process, those of you who haven't ever done this before, there's not much you have to force. I say much because I'm sure there's something I'm not thinking of, but I can't think of anything that you really have to force. Besides maybe getting the pistons into the cylinders. That's potentially a bit of a forceful activity, but I mean, even then, man, just a little patience and some finesse. You got it. By and large, if you're trying to force something and it's not going, something's wrong. I'm trying to clean up the extra little bits of Permatex on here, just because I don't want some false positive on a leak check later when we go and start this engine up for the first time. But, you know, if it's not leaking, does it even have oil in it? Rockers are in place. Now we just need to put our cheeks on. I don't know what those are called. I've just continuously been calling them cheeks. Whatever. You know what I mean. So we will go just pop these little O-rings off of here. So like I said, I've got new ones, so I'm going to replace them. As is the case with pretty much every seal on this bike. Every seal, every gasket. We're just going to replace because we can. Squished. Okay. Cheeks are on. I went ahead and gooped up the bearing surfaces real good with oil and just snagged all this back together. It's kind of boring and tedious and hard to film. So that's all taken care of. We're ready now to go ahead and put our rocker box cover back on here. But first I need to reset my rotor position, just because I don't think this is super necessary, but may as well just make sure that we are sitting here with that little L mark basically parallel with the top of this case right here. And we'll double check and make sure that jives with our rotor mark. And oh yeah, dude. So when I put these bearing housing cheeks back on here, I did go ahead and check my axial play of the camshaft. That's the side to side movement basically in here. We're within, we're at the edge of spec. Honda says 12 thousandths of an inch max allowable gap, and we're at 12 thousandths of an inch. So we're down a shim. If you watched the video where I took this thing apart, you'll know that I found like half of a shim sitting in the cam case. But I don't have another one currently, and according to Honda, it's not a huge deal. We just might have a little bit of excessive noise between like 5,000 and 6,000 RPMs. And I'm okay with that. If it really is an issue, it's nothing to just pull this bearing housing off while the engine's on the bike and toss a shim in there, put it all back together. No big deal. Sit. Cool. And let's torque her down. Keep this cylinder from trying to wobble on the bottom end a little bit. Oh yeah. I'm gonna step torque all these, so we'll take them all up to like 8-ish foot-pounds and then to the full 13 foot-pounds that Honda calls for. Okay, that's about 8 foot-pounds. Now we'll go up to the full 13 foot-pounds is what, 130, 26, 156 inch-pounds. Go ahead and go up to that full 13 foot-pounds. Nope. Definitely ran into a stop. There we are. Now grab our little 10, hop back down in here. Go ahead and tighten up these guys. What's next? I guess we got to set our valve lash. I'm going to go ahead and do that now before I've got all the timing stuff in here. Just, I don't know, it's more wide open. Actually, before I do that, I need to get my cam chain tensioner back in place. Then we can set our lash. That way I know that I'm not chasing my tail with slop in the system. Yup. Right in there. We should be able to just mush all this down. Hold it in place with a 10 millimeter, just kind of lightly. Yeah, cool. Okay, that's sitting where it needs to sit. Oh yeah, that ought to do nicely. So we're gonna go to this little 286 right here. So coming on through the combustion cycle just a little bit, which means that our right cylinder is starting to come up on its compression cycle just a little bit. And now our valves should all be free. And they are nice and loose. Cool. Let's adjust the cam chain. That's it. Come in here and lock our jam nut down. Make sure that our O-ring has seated. We don't want that coming out. We don't want any of this coming loose. Woo! There we go. That's it. All right, lash time. What do I need? 12 millimeter, little flathead action, and feeler gouges. Okay, so we're starting on the left cylinder here. We've got our rotor set to top dead center left. We're looking for a lash clearance on the intake valve of 0.02 of an inch, and on the exhaust side 0.04 of an inch. I'm gonna overshoot just a little bit, especially as this is wearing back in, or just in. I would rather have a little bit extra clearance than not enough clearance. Just by a tiny bit. So what I'm gonna do is actually go 2.5 thou and then 5 thou on the exhaust. It'll be a little bit noisy probably, but that's okay. Back off the jams. Boop, and right there has grabbed. I'm doing this because I know if I sandwich the 2.5 thou down in here, or the 25-10 thou down in here, it's going to be a nice 2 fit, you know what I mean? That's right there. I like that drag on there. See if we can adequately hold this in place. Double check. Oh! Close down on us. Oh no, we can still fit it in there. Yeah, there we go. We got just a little bit of feeler gauge bucklage going on at 25/10 thousandths. So that's nice. That's pretty much right where we want to be. Oh yeah, that's set nicely. All right, same thing on the other side. On the exhaust side, I'm going with a 5 thou, and we will really snug that 5 thou in there under the rocker arm between that and the lash cap on the exhaust valve. Actually, I guess that's not, there is no lash cap on these exhaust valves. There, feels nice. Yeah, I like that. Let's go ahead and cinch that down then. That might have opened back up on us. No, that's 5 thou. Yeah, we'll stick with that. I like that. All right, now same thing on the other side. We'll skip all that. Sweet. What is that? Is that a 14? Definitely not. Yep. Plenty. Now what? You know, I guess we could go ahead and cover up our, our clutch. Yeah, let's do that. Went ahead and lubed up the O-ring here on the little filter cap. This way? Let's go this way. Something I didn't mention before was when I pulled the side cover off, I found the snap ring sitting down in the bottom, not doing anything. It's kind of wild. There we go, though. We are snapped in place. Go and push against these ears real quick and just... Oh yeah, she's seated. Cool. Good stuff. So we've got filtration. A couple little drops of oil just to make sure that all our shafts and stuff slide through the oil seals nice and easily-ish. With all these gaskets, something I haven't really mentioned yet is I sprayed them all down with some PTFE dry lube to hopefully help in the future everything come back apart without sticking too much. It'll stick some, but that's okay. All right, let's put this side cover on here, dude. There's our dowel. Okay, took long enough. And just finish up where I think we started. I don't know. Cool. That's that. We need a new oil seal. Actually, we'll go ahead and get both of these. A couple little filter housing O-ring dealies. Oh, come on. Yeah, there you go. Sweet. All right, that one's seated. I wonder if this is like filter, like pressure regulation almost. Because this little seat is spring loaded. I don't know, I have no idea. But I do know I'm gonna juice it up. Make sure our oil passage holes are gonna line up here. We've got one down here and then one that's kind of right in here. This little bump you see is an oil passage. So if we line this hole up, does that line the rest of everything up? Yes, yes it does. Cool. I think I'll also just go ahead and put just a little bit of Earl around here. Maybe help that fit just a little bit. Probably not gonna do much of anything, but you know, thought that counts or something. Hey, there we go. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not too bad. That'll line right up. I just want to make sure. Oh yeah, I felt it slide through that O-ring that's in there. That's great, dude. That feels really, really nice. Okay, last thing before we can put this engine back on the bike is our little filter housing screws with just a little touch of anti-seize. Now I still have the rotor cover off on the other side, and that's going to remain that way because I've still got some stuff to do, setting timing and things like that. We got our valves lashed, but I've still got to set timing. But I'm not going to do that off the bike because all of that is very doable on the bike, and it gives me kind of a better platform to work from. At least in my mind. I don't know, maybe that's not it. Maybe I'm just really excited to get the engine back on the bike. I don't know. I don't know what the real reason is. But we're going to do all that. We'll get our points, our advanced mechanism, points, all that installed after this thing is back on the bike. These little fasteners look so good, man. Super out of place. I love it. Now I've got peace of mind knowing this engine's not going to just immediately fall apart. Or maybe it will, but if it does, at least it was my fault. Dude, that's it. Next step is just sticking this thing back in the bike. Oh. Oh. Okay. I think it's so cool that this thing still had its original little battery cover plastic dealie. I reckon let's give her a fire test. We got lights. No horn. Yeah. Boom.
Boom.
Okay.
She's beautiful.
One last side to do.
She looks so good. Look at her.
A time capsule this thing is.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got both sides.
That's both sides. Turn that battery back off.
Now the seat.
Now the seat. How many kicks you reckon till this thing starts up?
I'm gonna say 3 for good measure.
There's nothing left to do but to see if this thing's gonna fire up. This is the first time in 50 years this thing's run Off camera, I went ahead and got the carburetors put back on, air boxes, set my timing, just all the other stuff that you already saw. Watch that video of this coming apart in reverse and you'll see what happened. So legitimately, this is the first time trying to start this thing, and well, I'm really curious to see what it does. Should we go with some choke? Nah, it'll be fine. My idle's a little bit low. Tack works.
Bye. Look it. That's crazy. Oh, you're gone. Emerge.
Woo!
That sounds so good.
Need to idle my carbs up. Wow.
Woo!
50 years. My little chopped exhausts. Wow, that started up quickly.
4 times.
Was it 4?
4 kicks.
I lost count, I was so excited. Boy, she sounds good.
Yeah, she does.
That's a happy little engine right there. Okay, let's try it again, ready?
Yeah. Oh my. See ya.
She got some pep.
Bye.
Dude, that's crazy. Still idling a little high. I gotta get her up to operating temp. No horn. Dude, she's got all kinds of burning in left to do. We still have a lot to do on this thing. Now that we've got a running motorcycle, we can kind of pick and choose. Hey, what do we want to just freshen up, clean up, whatever? How far into a restoration do we go with this thing? This is such a good, solid starting point, having a running bike just on the road. The bike will tell us what it wants, but it's kind of got to be running first. So yeah, y'all let me know down in the comments what you want to see next. And yeah, I think we're gonna go for a little rip.
Woo!
Let's go.